I'm joined here tonight by a trio of the top legal sources, all veterans of the New York legal scene. Ron Koby, Renato Stabile, and Arthur Aidala, all here. Raise your hand if you think Trump's going to actually take the stand in this.
I think there's a good chance
Only
he does.
one out of three?
He's been telling everyone that he's going to do it. He's going to have to put his money where his mouth is. And it's the one decision that his lawyers cannot control. If a criminal defendant says he's taking the stand, nobody can stop him.
That's right. But Donald Trump has made many, many assertions about what he intends to do, what he's going to do, and indeed what he has done, none of which are true. And this kind of momentous decision is a decision that's going to be made at the close of the prosecution's case, not beforehand. And he almost certainly will pass up the opportunity to be cross-examined.
So it could be weeks if he does actually take the stand before we see that happen?
That would be correct. And I know, and so does Ron, his defense attorney, Susan Necklace, she's a total veteran. She will handcuff him to the table before she allows him to take the stand. He took the stand in his last civil case, and the jury crushed him. They gave him $85 million judgment. So, the proof is in the pudding. He's done it once before, and it failed miserably. So shut up and let your lawyers do the work.
Okay, so we'll wait to see if it happens. What we do know is it's going to start Monday. That's what it looks like right now. There have been 12. I guess this is now the 13th effort to try to get a delay from Monday. It's not working. It hasn't worked. It didn't work, 12 times. Is there anything left that they can still try to do before Monday, or is it starting Monday?
Will not be heart attack. Hospitalization, a lawyer suddenly being rushed to the emergency room. I've seen it done.
Eclipse.
I've never done it. But short of that, the trial is going to be starting.
Well, but you're going to see number 14 attempt on Monday morning. That's going to be the first thing out of the box, because it is going to be an absolute circus outside of that courthouse. And the first thing they're going to say to the judge is, Judge, jurors have to walk through this gauntlet. They're going to be prejudiced by this, atmosphere that's going on, and they're going to ask for a delay just based on that Monday morning.
And they won't get it? Or
they won't get it, but they're going to ask. And they're going to ask over and over and over again as things happen throughout this trial.
So once this jury selection gets kicked off, it seems like something that most people probably wouldn't pay attention to, but it's actually a huge part of this trial.
It's probably the most important part of the entire trial. And Judge Merchan is running things in a way that is extremely efficient and will expedite jury selection. For example, every juror is going to be asked at the beginning, whether they can be fair and impartial. And anybody who says they cannot be fair and impartial just raises their hands, and those people are then excused. So if you call 100 jurors and 80 of them can't be fair and impartial, fine. You've got 20 who said that they can. Now, the fact that they say they can doesn't mean that, in fact, they can be, but you already will get rid of so many people in advance who either love Trump or hate Trump or don't feel that they can sit in the case.
Well, and one of the questions that they wanted to ask today was, they wanted to ask that question separately about whether you can be fair. Do you think that's a reasonable ask of the Trump legal team?
Yes, but just to clarify or just enlighten people how it usually works, if a juror says I can't be fair and impartial, you usually try to rehabilitate them a little bit. Well, why can't you be rehabilitated? And why? And tell us why.
You still ask a follow-up question.
And you try to rehabilitate them, especially if it's someone who has a background that looks suitable to your side, whether you're the prosecutor or the defense attorney, and the judge will get involved, and sometimes it works. Here, it just, no, I can't be fair, boom, you're out. And I just spoke to people at the courthouse right before I came on the air. They're going to have about 1,000 people there. So to Ron Koby... Prospective jurors. So to Ron Koby's point, if 80 of them say, I can't do it, they still have 920 behind them to say, okay, well, who can? And I think also something you have to look out for is who really wants to be on the trial. In other words, for the wrong reasons. Who wants to be a juror? To write a book, to be sitting next to you when the verdict comes out, and there'll be celebrities. So that's another thing that all sides have to look at.
1,000 people ready to go. Is that how many jurors normally are waiting for a trial?
No.
How unusual is that?
Oh, it's highly unusual. It's probably the largest number of jurors that have ever been summoned to 100 Center Street. But although the process will be efficient in the beginning in terms of people raising their hands and walking out the door, then it's going to get excruciating, because he's going to question these jurors orally, one by one, and there's a 42-question questionnaire. Now, you would expect in a case like this that you would have a written questionnaire, which would probably be more efficient. But some of these questions are, do you belong to the Oath Keepers? Have you ever worked for the Trump Organization? Do you subscribe to Truth Social? All of those things that people aren't going to be comfortable saying in open court. So I think there's going to be a lot of people raising their hands and saying, can I have a sidebar? Can I go in the back? And that presents all kinds of logistical security concerns.
And do they allow that?
Of course, if you want to speak privately, the judge is not going to deny something like that. But then you have the Secret Service marching up and all kinds of things happening.
The judge has already ruled in this very elaborate ruling that the ordinary process, they simply can't do that because of the number of people who would be at sidebar. All of the attorneys, the prospective juror, the court reporter, the judge, the defendant, and the United States Secret Service, and they just don't have space for that. So it could get complicated, but it's not going to be that hard. We have picked juries for people who are less popular in New York than Donald Trump.
Yeah, we were just talking with, about Harvey Weinstein and someone like that going on trial. But can I ask you quickly, though, because you know Judge Merchan.
Yes.
What's it going to be like for him starting on Monday? What should we be expecting?
First of all, Judge Merchan is a veteran of the Trump Organization trial. So he knows the players, he knows the people, he knows Susan Neckles, one of the defense attorneys, and he brings a very understated but profound sense of dignity to the proceedings. He's very much in control. He's not Judge Engoron, who seems to just want to have a good time. He was, of course, the one who tried the civil trial. Mm-hmm. And he's not Judge Lou Kaplan in federal court, who tried the E. Jean Carroll case, who was just abrasive and bullying and nasty. Judge Merchan brings dignity, gravitas, and expects it from everyone else.
I mean, we just talked about the scene, and I mentioned Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein was at this courthouse. John Gotti was at this courthouse. I mean, this courthouse has seen a lot, and now it's about to see history.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw a bouquet to the people who run that courthouse. The court officers and the clerks, they are fantastic. They really are, and they do it so well, and they practiced. They've been rehearsing who goes where. And one point about if they have to approach the bench, there's a waiver that Donald Trump could sign so that Trump and the Secret Service don't go and approach if a juror wants to speak to the judge and the other parties. When Renato and I worked on the Harvey Weinstein jury selection, it was a written questionnaire where they then made photocopies and both sides got photocopies, and it did go a lot quicker. Here, it's going to be all orally. And I mean, yes, they have questions like, who do you listen to in the morning on talk radio? And, so it'll be, but we all agree that it's not going to be such a long jury selection.
Yeah, you guys were taking bets, not real ones, in the green room of how many days it's going to last.
I'm saying 5 days at least.
I go 4.
And I went with 3.
Okay, all right. Anything else that you're watching for?
The winner gets invited back.
Yes, exactly. Only the winner. No, we'll have you all back.
Look, I mean, the big thing is that the people working on this case, and I'm sure that they have jury consultants working on this case, they're going to be doing deep research on these jurors to make sure that the answers that they're getting in court are truthful answers. And they're not saying one thing just because they want to get on the jury, but their social media says something else, their Twitter says something else. So that's going to be a huge factor in this jury selection.
It's going to be fascinating. We'll have you all back. Don't worry, no matter if you're wrong. Maybe if you're not really off on the amount of days it takes. Ron Koby, Renato, Stabile, Arthur Aidala, thank you all for being here.